In this flipped classroom video, I'm going to show you how to find a solution to a system of equations using elimination. So basically, first thing you have to remember is to put both equations in standard form. And then we need to figure out, well, which variable do we want to eliminate? If we can find two coefficients with different signs, we're going to add the two equations together. Or if they have the same sign, we're going to subtract. Then we're going to solve for whichever variable is left over, and then plug the answer that we found in number 3, and for the second variable, to find our second number. So here we go. So have number 1, we're going to do number 1 on your paper. If you notice in number 1, the y's have the same coefficient and opposite signs. So if we add these together, they will just cancel out. So let's do that. We have 1x plus 1x is 2x. Y plus negative y is 0y. So we have no more y's yet. They just canceled out. Bring down our equal sign. 11 plus 7 is 18. And then we solve and x becomes 9. So we already know what our x value is going to be. Sorry. Now we got to find out what our y value is going to be. So what we're going to do is just take this 9 and plug it into one of the original equations, just like we did in substitution. So I'm just going to plug it into the first one. So I'm going to plug in 9 for x and solve for y. And y becomes 2. So our answer is 9, 2. Now, of course, you can take both of these numbers, plug them into each equation, double check to make sure. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Number 2. You always want to look for two coefficients that are the same number but different signs. And if you notice right here, the 3's are the same number and different signs, so we're going to add these two equations together. And when we do that, the x's just cancel out. So now we're going to have to add the other terms. 1y plus 4y is 5y. Negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10. And when we solve, we get y equals negative 2. So now we have to find our x coordinate. So what are we going to do with this negative 2? Plug it back into one of our original equations and solve for x. So let's do that. 3x minus 2 equals negative 8. 3x equals negative 6, so x is negative 2. So there's our answer, negative 2, negative 2. And of course, you can always double check by plugging your values back in for x and y and making sure the statements are true. Okay, I'm going to skip over to number 4. Now, if you notice in number 4, right here, the x's have the same coefficient, but not the same but not different signs. The signs are the same. We want the signs to be different. So instead of adding these together, we're going to have to subtract these together. So when I go to subtract, though, I need to make sure it's 1 minus 1, 2 minus a negative 4, so the double negative becomes a positive, and then negative 3 minus a positive 15. So the easiest thing to do to avoid a careless mistake when you have to subtract two equations is to go ahead and distribute that negative throughout and rewrite the equation. So the top equation stays exactly the same, but since we're subtracting the bottom, I'm going to change each sign. So it's going to be a negative x, and then a positive 4y, and then a negative 15. And it's going to be like we're adding them together. So look what ends up happening here. The x's end up canceling out. Now I have 2 plus 4, which is 6y. Negative 3 and a negative 15 gives me a negative 18. So y equals negative 3. So We know what the y coordinate is, -3. So now we have to find the x coordinate. So we're going to take this -3, and I'm just going to plug it into the first equation. You can plug it into the second equation, but always plug it into one of the original equations. So let me go ahead and plug it into the first one. So I got x plus 2 times -3 equals -3. X minus 6 is -3. So x ends up being a +3. So my answer is 3, -3. So I want you to go ahead and stop the video. You try number 3 on your own and then start the video and check. Okay, did you get 1, -3 for your answer? If you did, great job. If you didn't, go back, maybe rewatch the video. And if you're still having trouble, come and see me at Pam's time tomorrow. Okay, moving on. We're going to number 5. If you notice in number 5, none of the coefficients are the same. So we're going to have to try to get coefficients to be the same. Wouldn't it be great if this -a here was really a -3a? So that way we could just add and it could just cancel out and everything would be easy. But we can get that -a to be a -3a. All you have to do is multiply by 3 for every term. So I can use the distributive property and multiply every term by 3. And you're allowed to do that. You can do anything to any term as long as you do it to all the terms. So now my new equation is going to be -3a plus 24b equals 48. My bottom equation, I'm just going to rewrite just like it is. There's nothing to change on that one. Now look what we have. Same coefficient, opposite signs. We can just add these together now, just like we did for numbers 1 and 2. So -3 plus a +3, the a's cancel out. 24b plus 4b is 28b. 48 plus 36 is 74. So b equals 3. So 3 is our y coordinate because we're going in alphabetical order. So now I'm just going to take this 3 and plug it into one of my original equations. I'm just going to plug it into the first one, but you can plug it into any one that you want. Let's see what we get. -a plus 24 equals 16. -a equals -8, so a equals a +8. So my ordered pair is 8, 3, and that is my solution to this system. Now you can just plug it in, both equations, to make sure that truly is the answer. You can always double check your answers. Okay, let's do one more. Number 6. Bummer, none of the coefficients are exactly the same. So we can either get this -3. Wouldn't it be great that -3 was maybe a -9 so that m's could cancel out? Or you can get this -4. Wouldn't it be great if that was -8 so the 8's could cancel out? So you can pick whichever one you want to change. I'm just going to go ahead and just stick with the m's, but if you wanted to do the n's, that would be fine. So remember, we want this -3 to be a -9. So we're going to have to multiply through by +3 to each term. So in the long run, this -3 becomes a -9. So let's do that. I have -9m plus 24n equals 18. Now let me do the top one, just recopy what we have there. Now let's add them together. And look what ends up happening. The m's cancel out, so we have nothing there. And over here, -4 plus 24 is 20n equals 0. 20, remember you can divide by 20, you can have a 0 on top, that's okay. So what does n end up being? 0. It's okay for that to happen. Remember, okay, you can divide a number into 0. Okay, so now we're going to take our 0 and plug it into one of the original equations. I'm just going to stick with the first one like I've been doing. So I have 9m minus 4 times 0 equals negative 18, sorry. 9m minus 0 equals negative 18. So 9m equals negative 18, so m equals negative 2. And there's your answer. So now you can try the other two, 7 and 8, but make sure you write them in standard form before you try to solve them. If you have any questions, just come and see me during Pam's time tomorrow.